Finally, our guest of honors, I'm going to introduce a good friend of ours and good partner of ours to introduce them, but I just want to say a quick word about our three legislators that we brought here to honor. While we are honoring them on the very important work that they've done to help end the escalation in Iraq, they have also been leaders in their states on the most important issues facing America, on healthcare, on wages, on personal freedoms, and every other progressive issue you can think of. So with that, I'm going to now introduce Tom Matzzie, the Washington director of MoveOn.org, who we have partnered with on our campaign against escalation, and as well as on a number of other initiatives, MoveOn being one of the most productive and successful groups on our side, and we're very lucky to have them, and we're very lucky to have Tom Matzzie with us.
I'm going to actually ask all of our honorees to join us up here. Joe Bolcom, are you here still? There you are, Joe. And Donald Betts, thank you. We should just pull that right there. Senator Cole Wells. And I'm going to talk a minute. First, I want to talk about the Progressive States Network, our campaign to stop the escalation and end the war. David Sirota. I want to say, you know, at times of great need in our country, and the last couple years have certainly been a time of great need, it is always important to remember there is leadership in this country somewhere that will evolve. And just as MoveOn members stepped up over the last couple of years, and many of you are those MoveOn members who have helped provide leadership, state senators, state legislators, they have been providing leadership all across this country, and that's why it's really great to honor these three today. I think a couple months ago, when the president, after the election, had announced an escalation of the war, and we're all smacking our heads going, man, we just worked so hard to win that election, and now he's doing this. Suddenly I woke up one morning, it was like I had another leg, and we could run a whole heck of a lot faster, and I realized it was because we had this partnership with the Progressive States Network. We went, in a matter of a few weeks, from having, you know, what I would say is a robust campaign to having a gigantic, nationwide campaign with state legislators at the lead in dozens and dozens of states, and that's in part, and it is due entirely to the Progressive States Network and the leadership of Joel Barkin, David Sirota, and all of the staff and leaders from the legislatures. But about our legislators, because they are the people we're here to honor. We are honoring three state legislators tonight for their courageous stand against the Iraq War. I want to first turn to Iowa. State Senator Joe Bolcom. I'm going to introduce all three of them, and then if they have something to say, we would love to hear from you. Iowa State Senator Joe Bolcom has served for 8 years in the Iowa State Senate. Before being elected to the Senate in 1998, he served for 6 years in the Johnson County Board of Supervisors. Joe was elected Senate Assistant Majority Leader for the 2007 and 2008 legislative seasons, so that's right now. Over his career, he has championed lower health care costs for seniors, state and local environmental protection, and worked tirelessly to highlight environmental health concerns, addressing youth access to tobacco products also. The Iowa Senate, and this is important because of the presidential election, was one of the first states to pass a resolution against the escalation of the war. Yes. And Senator Bolcom was a critical force behind that success. He crafted the resolution and dedicated himself to building support for the measure among his colleagues and the Senate leadership. Iowa's resolution and its resounding message sent to Congress and the President that the people of Iowa oppose the escalation of this war would not have happened without him. So thank you very much. We're happy to honor you. Next, we turn to Kansas, and I'd like to introduce you to Kansas Senator Donald Betts. Apparently, they already know you. Senator Betts is the youngest legislator serving in the Kansas State Senate. He was the youngest legislator to serve in the Kansas State House of Representatives at the age of 24 before being elected to the state Senate in 2004. Somehow in there they didn't quite tell me how old you were, or are now. Since that time, he has worked to end racial profiling in Kansas. In the Kansas Senate, where opposition to the war and the president's plan to escalate were politically unpopular, Senator Betts showed tremendous courage and leadership in his introduction of this resolution. Representing the opinions of his constituents and the best interests of the state of Kansas, Senator Betts forced a debate about the Iraq War when others were interested in ignoring it. At the public hearing for his resolution, the senator was joined by a disabled Iraq war veteran named Thomas Young, somebody I know, in delivering an impassioned message that sparked local media coverage and with it the debate in Kansas the public desired. Thank you, Senator Betts. And as we move west, now to the northwest, to Washington State, Senator Jean Cole Wells from Seattle. Senator Cole Wells is a veteran leader in the Washington State Senate who has served since 1992. She has championed through that tenure early learning and access to affordable, high-quality higher education, gender equity and non-discrimination in schools, safety and well-being of children and vulnerable adults and working families, and has established an international reputation for her groundbreaking work on regulating international matchmaking organizations, like mail-order bride brokers, and human trafficking. Cole Wells is a former public school teacher, holds a PhD from UCLA in the sociology of education. She's also a foreign policy fellow and global power fellow with the Center for Women Policy Studies. She served on the National Council of State Legislatures Executive Committee and as president of its Women's Legislative Network. Cole Wells currently chairs the Senate Labor, Commerce, Research, and Development Committee after chairing the Senate Higher Education Committee for years. From the beginning, Senator Cole Wells stepped forward and led her colleagues in the Washington Senate in opposition to the escalation in Iraq. Representing the interests of her constituents, she introduced a resolution opposing the war's escalation. The public hearing for her measure led to tremendous public turnout and local media coverage. Senator Cole Wells showed her dedication and leadership in the Washington Senate as she fought and continues to fight to be sure that she and her colleagues ultimately adopt a resolution and give voice to the people of Washington State and their opposition to the president's escalation. Yeah. Thank you, Senator Cole Wells. I want to say all of the work being done by dozens and dozens of legislators across the country to stop the escalation. This is about ending the war in Iraq. And thank you very much for all your leadership. It has had a tremendous impact. I'm going to ask first Senator Cole